Let's have a cozy little chat about this whole content creation is the new 9 to 5 trend. I'm sure if you're a content creator or you want to be one, you've seen some of these videos come across your feed. And the basic idea is that most content creators get into this because they want to escape the traditional corporate 9 to 5 type path and work on their own terms, have location freedom, have time freedom, have financial freedom. But we often find ourselves after, a bit of time grinding and building up our content that this is kind of the same deal, right? We end up working the same amount of hours, if not much, much more than we would have at a corporate job. We answer to many people. We have some of the same issues that corporate workers do. So, I want to share my takes on this trend and maybe give a little bit of advice on things that have helped me over the years. I've been creating content for over a decade on YouTube, which is kind of makes me a dinosaur. So I think I've learned a few things because I'm clearly still here and still happy to do it. I'm also going to share one of my favorite tools that helps make this process so much easier. You can check out the description box if you want to check out Riverside now or just stay tuned later in the video as I talk about them. So I think the first thing we have to think about is honestly just having fun. And I know this sounds so basic and maybe a little pie in the sky of an idea, but if you are going to give up a stable income, health insurance, vacation time, all of those things that are really, really lovely to have, you better be having fun with your job, right? I started my YouTube channel talking about beauty and fashion because that was just what I was interested in at the time. And I didn't really overthink it, right? I often get asked on coaching calls or in courses that I host, like, hey, what's the most profitable niche to get into? And I honestly, I don't have the answer to that question because I really don't care. I really don't care. I could look at a list and let's just say the most profitable niche to get into is finance. It would not be authentic to me to start telling you about how to invest in stocks and how to do all of this stuff and building a whole channel off of that. I would burn out. It probably wouldn't come across authentic to you all. It probably wouldn't work. And so I don't care if finance is technically a more profitable niche than beauty or fashion or now what I do, which is business, entrepreneurship, marketing, right? So you really do have to create in a way that is true to you. And don't be afraid to pivot if those interests change. You are a real human. That's the very interesting thing about being a content creator. And I spoke about this actually a little bit in my last vlog, but your content will evolve with you. It will ebb and flow depending on the season of life, not just business or, entrepreneurship that you are in, but the things that you as a human are actually going through. And you have to keep that spark alive. Your audience might be a little disappointed. I think my audience was a little disappointed when I stopped talking about makeup as much. And yeah, you guys might be disappointed if someday I stop talking about business quite as much. But it will enable me to keep creating in an authentic way and keep that spark alive. The next thing to think about are your systems. I have found myself really burnt out with content creation when I just felt like I was on a hamster wheel and there was no getting off. And systems, this can refer to a lot of things. For me, this is my camera setup. I have a tripod that sits here all the time. It barely ever moves so that whenever I need to record a video, literally all I have to do is turn on the camera, turn on my light, which also sits here on my desk, and just start talking. I also have an even easier setup, which I'm actually using today. I wanted to show you a little behind the scenes of it. It's using a tool called Riverside, which I've mentioned before on this channel. They are lovely enough to sponsor this portion of the video as well. And it is basically just an all in one recording studio. So instead of having to have this fancy camera setup, especially if I'm on the go, if I'm running around doing things, I can just open up the website, create a new studio for myself, connect my microphone, connect my 4K webcam, and boom, we are good to go. I can start talking and recording without having to overthink it, without having to stress myself out with lugging things up and down stairs or getting lighting like exactly perfect. It is really amazing. And same thing for if you want to bring guests onto your YouTube channel. Riverside is really great for hosting guests. And another thing that's really cool about Riverside, and that in general, I think you need to wrap into your systems, is figuring out a way to do all of the things, right? In addition to YouTube nowadays, we also have to post on TikTok and Instagram Reels and YouTube Shorts and blah, 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 blah. And it gets very, very difficult to maintain everything. I think that is definitely where I've experienced burnout. Riverside has a feature called Magic Clips where it'll take your video that you've recorded or uploaded and it'll go in and find the most compelling clips for you to use on those short form social platforms. So all you really need to do is go in and customize the captions if you want to. You can add animations to them or tweak, words if you need to or want to, trim your clip a little bit and you are good to go and post. You can sign up for free using my link down in the description box. And you can use code Latasha James for 15% off if you decide to go ahead and sign up for a paid plan. So that's one of the systems that I recommend having in place, but also having filming days designated on your calendar. I block off my calendar on certain days of the week so that I can get my work done. Because if I have meetings 5 days a week, or if I have filming 5 days a week and no time to edit or whatever that might be, that's again where you start to basically have to start putting in overtime and working on the weekends, working on the evenings, stressing out on the evenings and weekends that you're not getting your work done. So have those systems in place so that you are not feeling chaotic, let's just say. Another thing that really helps me not feel like this is a 9 to 5, at least not always, this one mm, might be a little spicy. I don't know, but it's selling my own stuff. Selling my own stuff. So, yes, I work with sponsors. Obviously, Riverside is sponsoring today's video. I love working with amazing brand sponsors who are fun to work with and allow me to explore my creativity and be true to myself. But not all sponsors are like that, unfortunately. And when you work with a brand who doesn't see your creative vision or doesn't respect the relationship that you have with your audience, or just has a really unrealistic expectation as far as production value or timeline or whatever that might be, it feels like you have a bad boss. And that's what we ran from in the corporate world, right? So it's not to say that you shouldn't work with sponsors, because again, there are amazing ones out there. I know because I've worked with many of them. And it can also be a great supplement to your income. But I choose to not rely only on sponsorship income so that if I am feeling burnt out, if I am feeling like, wow, like I'm just not getting any brands who are really aligned this month, I don't have to stress out about not getting a sponsorship. I can host a webinar and sell one of my courses. I can post a link and have people book coaching calls. Obviously, I have my done for you services as well, where people can hire me to do their marketing and their video creation on a monthly basis. So there are lots of different levers that I can pull. And I think just in general, when it comes to income, having diverse income streams as a creator makes me feel a lot less like like an employee, switch things up. I don't know about you, but when I post the same type of content over and over again, whether it's the same format, it's the same topic, it gets really, really boring and it makes me lose my passion a little bit. And listen, it's good for business, okay? Sticking to a theme, sticking to kind of your standard messaging, having your typical shots that you always do. They really help build familiarity with your brand and, help you build authority in that space, whatever niche that is. But we've all got to switch it up sometimes. And for me, sometimes that just means physically grabbing my camera and going downstairs and shooting in a brighter, setup than my typical studio. I really like Riverside for this as well because I love to travel. That's one of the biggest benefits of being a freelancer, being a content creator, is that I'm location independent. And so having the ability to just open up a web browser and record as opposed to having to have this like full-on studio setup that is physically in front of me is also really fulfilling. So think about that. If you're starting to feel burnt out, if you're starting to feel like, oh my gosh, my job is so monotonous and so boring, just play around with a different camera angle, a different tool, use a different microphone. It's totally okay. It's just content that lives on the internet. Like, we're not creating films here. We can have a little bit of fun. And I think you have to play, you have to have a little bit of fun to keep it moving. And something else that I think, the last thing that I think really helps with this whole content creation 9 to 5 thing is bringing in help, bringing in support, because content creation really is a full time job and then some. If you think about it, I always think about this when I'm like pitching to work with brands. Traditionally, these brands have had to hire an on screen actor or talent, a cinematographer, a lighting guy, a photographer for the still photos, a script writer, a studio, all of these different things. I could go on and on and on. And we're just one person doing all of that stuff: hair, makeup, wardrobe. I mean, it sounds silly, but it's so many different jobs. And so, if there are just one or two of those different jobs that you can take off of your plate and you're able to do that, it can really help. About a year and a half ago, I had a team of 7. Then I went down to just me. And now I'm slowly building that team up again to a place where I feel really comfortable. And the 2 roles that are really ongoing on my team are a video editor, because I produce a lot of video content and that takes up so much time. I mean, a video like this is probably going to be a quicker edit because it's just kind of a talking head. But any type of vlog content or the podcast, which is a little bit more produced and polished, those videos take me anywhere from 5 to 8 hours, sometimes more, to edit. So imagine if I had that 5 to 8 hours per video. I do 2 a week usually, up to 16 hours back to either be creative and think of new ideas for the business and or to have fun and to relax, right? That would make my business feel a lot less 9 to 5-ish and help me remember the flexibility and the fun that comes along with freelance. And you can start short term, you can start project basis, you can start with like one quick edit. You don't have to hire a full-time worker or anything like that. So let me know in the comments. I don't know. Do you feel this? What do you think? Do you think that content creation is the new 9 to 5? Have you found any tips or tricks to kind of eliminate that feeling? And also be sure to check out the sponsor of today's episode, Riverside. You can sign up for free using my link down in the description box, and you can use code Latasha James for 15% off if you decide to go ahead and sign up for a paid plan. I appreciate you watching as always, and I will talk to you in my next video. Bye.